I want you to think about the last time you walked into a shopping mall in December. Close your eyes and remember the feeling. The air smells like cinnamon and pine. The lights are warm and golden. There is soft jazz music playing in the background. It feels safe. It feels magical. For a moment, you forget about your job. You forget about the stress. You forget about the credit card bill sitting on your kitchen table. You feel rich. You feel generous. You see a sweater, or a gadget, or a toy, and a voice in your head says, "Why not? It's Christmas. I deserve this." You swipe your card. You feel a rush of pleasure, a little spark of joy. But I have to tell you something painful. That feeling, that spark of joy, it wasn't an accident. And it wasn't magic. It was a carefully engineered biological reaction. Welcome to our new series, the December Millionaire Trap. Over the next 6 episodes, we are going to deconstruct the most sophisticated psychological operation in human history, the modern holiday shopping season. We are going to show you how the retail industry, the banks, and the credit card companies have joined forces to create a perfect storm. A storm designed to strip you of your wealth while making you smile the entire time. In this first episode, part 1, we are going to look at the weapon itself, your brain. Specifically, we are going to look at a molecule called dopamine. And we are going to expose how corporations have learned to hack this molecule to turn you into a spending zombie. To understand this heist, we have to go back to the 1950s. We have to meet a man named Victor Gruen. Victor Gruen was an architect, and he is the father of the modern shopping mall. Before Gruen, shopping was transactional. You went to a store. You bought bread. You bought shoes. And you left. It was boring. It was efficient. But Victor Gruen had a different idea. He wanted to create a fantasy world. He designed a space with no windows, no clocks, a controlled climate that was always 72 degrees. He created a maze of storefronts that confused the shopper just enough to make them slow down, but not enough to make them angry. This phenomenon is now studied in psychology textbooks. It is called the Gruen Effect. The Gruen Effect describes a state of mind where you forget your original intention. You went to the mall to buy a pair of socks, but because of the lighting, the layout, and the sensory overload, your brain enters a mild trance. You lose track of time. You lose track of your budget. You become impulsive. When you walk into a mall or a department store in December, you are walking into a giant Gruen Effect machine. Have you ever noticed the music? It is never fast. Aggressive rock and roll, and it is never complete silence. It is almost always slow, rhythmic holiday classics. Why? Because studies have shown that when slow music is playing, you walk slower. And when you walk slower, you look at more products. And when you look at more products, you buy more things. It is simple math. By slowing down the tempo of the song by 20 beats per minute, they can increase their revenue by 10%. Have you noticed the smell? That scent of vanilla or gingerbread wafting through the air? It is likely not coming from a bakery. It is coming from a vent. It is called scent marketing. Our sense of smell is directly connected to the limbic system, the part of the brain that controls emotion and memory. When you smell pine needles, your brain instantly pulls up memories of childhood, of opening presents, of safety. It bypasses your logical brain. It bypasses the part of you that knows you cannot afford another $300 purchase. It goes straight to the emotional center. And then there is the color red. Look around a store in December. Everything is red. Sale, clearance, limited time. Evolutionary biologists will tell you that humans are hardwired to react to the color red. It signals danger. It signals urgency. It signals ripe fruit. When you see a red 50% off sign, your heart rate actually increases. Your brain thinks, I must act now. Resources are scarce. This brings us to the chemical hijacker, dopamine. Most people think dopamine is the pleasure molecule. They think it is the feeling you get when you eat a piece of chocolate or buy a new watch. But that is wrong. Neuroscience tells us that dopamine is actually the desire molecule. It is the chemical of wanting, not having. When you see that shiny new iPhone, your dopamine levels spike. Your brain is screaming, get it. Get it. Get it. But the moment you actually buy it, the moment the transaction is complete, the dopamine crashes. That is why the anticipation of Christmas is always better than Christmas Day itself. And that is why, 5 minutes after you leave the store, you feel empty again. You feel the buyer's remorse. The corporations know this. They know that the only way to keep their profits growing is to keep you in that loop of desire. They don't sell products. They sell the promise of a feeling. They sell the idea that if you buy this diamond necklace, your wife will finally love you the way she used to. They sell the idea that if you buy this expensive toy, your children will finally stop staring at their iPads and play with you. They are weaponizing your insecurities. And in the 21st century, this weapon has moved from the physical mall to the digital screen. If Victor Gruen was the architect of the physical trap, then Silicon Valley is the architect of the digital prison. Think about your phone. In December, your phone becomes a slot machine. Every notification from Amazon, every email from Walmart is a pull of the lever. Ding. Flash sale starts now. Ding. Only 3 items left in stock. They use what is called variable rewards. Sometimes the notification is boring, but sometimes it is a great deal. So you keep checking. You keep scrolling. The algorithms know exactly what you looked at 3 weeks ago. They know you lingered on those sneakers for 5 seconds. So they follow you. They haunt you across the internet. They show you the sneakers on Instagram. They show them to you on YouTube. They wear down your willpower. Willpower is like a battery. You wake up in the morning with a full charge. You resist the donut at breakfast. You focus at work. But by 8 p.m., after a long day, your willpower battery is empty. That is when they strike. That is why online shopping peaks in the evening. You are tired. You are emotionally drained. You are scrolling through your feed, and there it is. The perfect gift. One click. Buy now. You don't even have to enter your credit card number. It is already saved. Or better yet, you can use Apple Pay, just a fingerprint. They have removed all the friction. They have removed the pain of paying. We will talk more about that in part 4. But for now, just understand this. The entire environment, from the smell of the air in the mall to the pixels on your screen, is designed to do one thing: disconnect your prefrontal cortex. That is the part of your brain responsible for planning and logic. And activate your primitive brain, the part that wants immediate gratification. So, when you look at your bank account in January and wonder, what happened? Why did I spend so much? Do not call yourself stupid. You are not stupid. You were outgunned. You were fighting a billion-dollar algorithm with a caveman brain. Welcome back to the December Millionaire Trap. In part 1, we talked about how retailers hack your brain with dopamine, music, and lights. They set the stage. But today, in part 2, we are going to look at the script. We are going to look at the numbers on the price tag. Because there is a very good chance that every deal, every bargain, and every huge discount you see this month is a lie. Not a little white lie, a mathematically engineered fabrication designed to exploit a glitch in human psychology. Let's start with a simple question. How do you know what a shirt is worth? If I hold up a plain white cotton shirt and ask you, is this worth $50? You probably can't answer. You don't know the cost of the cotton. You don't know the cost of the labor. We humans are terrible at judging absolute value. But we are excellent at judging relative value. If I put that same white shirt next to a sign that says, original price, $100. Now, $50. Suddenly, you know exactly what it is worth. It's a steal. It's 50% off. You are saving $50. This is called anchoring. The $100 is the anchor. It doesn't matter if nobody in the history of the world ever bought the shirt for $100. The number exists solely to make the $50 price look small. This sounds obvious. You might say, I know this trick. I'm too smart for it. But history proves you are wrong. In 2012, the department store JCPenney hired a man named Ron Johnson as their new CEO. Ron Johnson was famous. He was the guy who created the Apple Store. He was a visionary, and he had a radical idea for JCPenney. He said, "Let's stop lying to the customers." He looked at the data. He saw that JCPenney was artificially inflating prices just to mark them down. They would price a towel at $20, just so they could put a 50% off coupon in the newspaper and sell it for $10. Ron Johnson said, "No more coupons. No more fake sales. No more anchor pricing. We are just going to sell the towel for $10 every day. Fair and square." He called it fair and square pricing. It was honest. It was transparent. It was logical. And it was a total disaster. Sales collapsed. Customers were furious. They stopped coming to the store. Why? Because without the anchor, without the fake original price, they didn't get the dopamine hit. They didn't feel like they were winning against the store. Buying a $10 towel felt boring. Buying a $20 towel for $10 felt like a victory. Ron Johnson was fired after 17 months. JCPenney went back to the fake coupons immediately. The lesson: shoppers want to be lied to. And in December, the lies get bigger. Have you ever tracked the price of a product on Amazon or Best Buy in the months leading up to the holidays? Data analysts have found a pattern. In September and October, prices for toys and electronics often quietly creep up. They raise the price by 10 or 15%. Then, in December, they slash the price by 20%. The net result: you are paying basically the same price you would have paid in July. But because of the red sale sticker, you feel an urgency to buy it now. This is the Black Friday illusion. Speaking of Black Friday, let's talk about the products themselves. Especially electronics. TVs. Laptops. You see a massive doorbuster deal. A 55-inch Samsung or Sony TV for $300. It looks exactly like the model you saw reviews for online. But look closer at the model number on the box. It might have a few extra letters at the end, like UM or BF. This is called a derivative model. Big manufacturers often build specific, lower quality versions of their products just for Black Friday and holiday sales. That TV might have fewer HDMI ports. It might use a cheaper processor. It might use a lower grade plastic for the casing. It looks the same. It has the same logo. But the guts are different. You aren't getting a $700 TV for $300. You are getting a $300 TV for $300. You get what you pay for. The discount is a mirage. But the biggest scam of all, the one that traps millions of Americans, the outlet mall. I want you to picture an outlet mall. Usually, it's about an hour outside the city. It has all the big brands. Nike, Coach, Ralph Lauren, Banana Republic. The story we tell ourselves is that these stores are selling overstock. We think, oh, this is the stuff that didn't sell at the main store last season. Or maybe it has a tiny stitching error, so they send it here to sell it cheap. That feels like a treasure hunt. 30 years ago, that was true. Today, it is almost entirely a lie. The Federal Trade Commission and consumer watchdogs have found that at many major retailers, 85 to 90% of the clothing in an outlet store was never sold in a regular store. It is made for outlet. The brands have two completely different supply chains. Supply Chain A makes the high-quality clothes for the flagship store in the city. Supply Chain B makes cheaper, lower-quality imitations for the outlet. They use thinner cotton. They use plastic buttons instead of metal. They use less stitching per inch so the clothes fall apart faster. But they slap the same logo on it. And here is the kicker. They put a price tag on it that says MSRP $100. And then a sticker that says, our price $40. That MSRP is a ghost. That shirt never sat on a shelf at $100. It was manufactured for $4 in a factory to be sold for $40. The reference price is fictional. But because you drove an hour to get there, and because you see that big discount sticker, you load up your cart. You buy things you don't need, because you think you are saving money. This is the definition of the price illusion. Welcome back to the December Millionaire Trap. We have talked about biology. We have talked about mathematics. But today, in part 3, we are going to talk about something much more fragile. We are going to talk about love. Or rather, we are going to talk about the industrialized, commodified version of love that is sold to us every December. You see, hacking your brain with dopamine is effective. Tricking you with fake discounts is clever. But the ultimate weapon in the marketer's arsenal is guilt. If they can make you feel that spending money is the only way to prove you are a good father, a good husband, or a good friend, then the price tag doesn't matter anymore. You will pay anything to avoid the feeling of being not enough. This is the guilt industry. And to understand how it works, we have to look at the greatest marketing campaign of the 20th century. It is not about Christmas. It is about a rock. A shiny carbon rock called a diamond. Go back to the 1930s. In America, diamond engagement rings were not a mandatory tradition. They were a luxury, but not a requirement. Many people proposed with simple gold bands, or sapphires, or nothing at all. At the same time, a massive diamond cartel named De Beers was sitting on a huge supply of diamonds from South Africa. They had a problem. Demand was low. Prices were falling. So, in 1938, they hired an ad agency in New York called N.W. Ayer. They gave the agency a simple mission: Create a situation where almost every person pledging marriage feels compelled to acquire a diamond engagement ring. They didn't just want to sell jewelry. They wanted to rewrite culture. In 1947, a copywriter named Francis Garrity wrote 4 words on a piece of paper. "A diamond is forever." It was brilliant. It linked a durable rock to the concept of eternal love. If you buy a cheap ring, does that mean your love is cheap? Does that mean your marriage won't last? They created a psychological trap. But they didn't stop there. They needed to anchor the price. In the 1980s, De Beers launched a campaign with a new rule. The rule was 2 months' salary. Later, they bumped it up to 3 months' salary. Think about the audacity of that. A corporate cartel literally told the world exactly how much of their paycheck they should spend to prove their love. And we listened. Today, men and women all over the world judge the value of a relationship based on a marketing slogan from the 1940s. This is the power of the guilt industry. They turn arbitrary purchases into social obligations. Now, fast forward to December, the guilt industry goes into overdrive. Let's look at the icon of the season, Santa Claus. We like to think of Santa as an ancient folkloric figure. And yes, Saint Nicholas was a real historical figure. But the Santa we know today, the jolly, rotund man in the bright red suit drinking a soda, that image was heavily solidified by Haddon Sundblom, an artist who drew ads for the Coca-Cola company in the 1930s. Before that, Santa was depicted in many ways. Sometimes tall, sometimes thin, sometimes wearing green or brown. But corporate marketing helped standardize Santa into the ultimate pitchman. Santa is the perfect consumer. He brings things. He doesn't bring wisdom. He doesn't bring health. He brings toys. And this creates the parental guilt trap. Every year, toy manufacturers create a must-have toy. In the 90s, it was Tickle Me Elmo or the Furby. Today, it might be a specific PlayStation console or a Hatchimal. They intentionally restrict the supply of these toys in October and November. They create a panic. The child sees the commercial. The child asks Santa for the toy. The parent goes to the store. The toy is sold out. The parent feels a knot in their stomach. They feel like they are failing their child. They feel like they are ruining the magic of Christmas. So what do? They overcompensate. They buy 3 other toys instead. They spend double the money on scalpers on eBay. Or they buy the toy in January when it is back in stock, creating a second wave of spending. This isn't accidental. It is a strategy called artificial scarcity. And it feeds on your fear of disappointing the people you love. We have been trained to speak only one love language in December. The psychologist Gary Chapman says there are 5 love languages: words of affirmation, acts of service, receiving gifts, quality time, and physical touch. But in December, The corporate world screams that receiving gifts is the only one that counts. The car commercials show a husband surprising his wife with a luxury SUV with a giant red bow on top. The tagline is always about how much she loves him because of the car. The jewelry commercials show a couple on the brink of a breakup until he pulls out a necklace, and suddenly everything is fixed. The message is clear. Empathy can be bought. Forgiveness can be bought. Connection can be bought. And if you are broke, if you can't afford the SUV or the diamond, then you are invisible. Welcome back to the December Millionaire Trap. So far, we have built the perfect trap. We have the lights and music triggering your dopamine. We have the fake discounts confusing your math. And we have the holiday pressure playing on your guilt. You are standing in the store. You want the item. You feel like you need the item. But there is one final barrier. You don't have the money. In the old world, this would be the end of the story. You would walk away. You would save up. You would wait. But in the modern world, waiting is the enemy of profit. So, the financial industry invented a tool to remove the barrier. They invented anesthesia. In behavioral economics, there is a concept called the pain of paying. When you hand over a crisp $100 bill to a cashier, your brain literally registers pain. MRI scans show that the insula region of the brain lights up. That is the same area that lights up when you cut your finger or burn your hand. Spending cash hurts. It is a biological warning system. It tells you resources are leaving. Be careful. But what happens when you swipe a plastic card? The pain is significantly reduced. You get the product now, but you pay later. The transaction feels abstract. And what happens when you use an app on your phone that says pay in 4 easy installments? The pain disappears completely. This is the rise of the buy now, pay later industry, or BNPL. Companies like Klarna, Affirm, and Afterpay have exploded in popularity. They are everywhere. You see them at the checkout counter of clothing stores. You see them on Amazon. You even see them on food delivery apps. They pitch themselves as a smart alternative to credit cards. They say, 0% interest. Just 4 payments of $50. It sounds harmless. It sounds helpful. But it is a wolf in sheep's clothing. Here is the psychological trick. When you break a $200 purchase into 4 payments of $50, your brain stops seeing the price as $200. You see the price as $50. Suddenly, that expensive jacket looks cheap. That new video game console looks affordable. Studies show that people spend anywhere from 20 to 40% more when they use BNPL compared to credit cards. They aren't helping you budget. They are helping you overspend. And who are they targeting? They are targeting the young, Generation Z and Millennials. They hire influencers on TikTok and Instagram to push this debt as a lifestyle. You see videos of young people doing hauls of clothes, bragging that they only paid $30 today. They don't call it debt. They call it girl math, or treating yourself. They have rebranded loan sharking as self-care. But the consequences are real. This creates something economists call phantom debt. Traditional debt, like a mortgage or a credit card, shows up on your credit report. The banks can see it. The government can see it. But a lot of BNPL data is not reported to the major credit bureaus. This means a 22-year-old could have 5 different loans with 5 different apps, owing thousands of dollars. And on paper, they look debt-free until they miss a payment. And they will miss a payment. That is the business model. These companies claim to be interest-free, but they make a fortune on late fees. If you miss that automatic deduction, you get hit with a fee, and then another fee. Suddenly, that 0% loan has an effective interest rate of 30% or more, and it gets darker. Because BNPL is so easy to use, people are using it for essentials. We are seeing people use Pay in 4 to buy groceries, to buy gas, to buy fast food. When you are financing a sandwich over 6 weeks, you are not managing your money. You are in a financial emergency. But BNPL is just the new kid on the block. The old king of anesthesia is still here. The credit card. In December, credit card issuers flood your mailbox with offers. 0% APR for 12 months. Bonus points if you spend $3,000. They want you to load up the card during the holidays. Why? Because they know that come January, you won't be able to pay it off in full. They are banking on the minimum payment trap. They designed the statement to highlight the minimum payment. It looks like a small, manageable number, just $35. But if you only pay the minimum on a $2,000 holiday balance, with an average interest rate of 25%, do you know how long it will take you to pay it off? It will take you more than 10 years. And you will pay more in interest than you did for the gifts. Welcome back to the December Millionaire Trap. The music has stopped. The red sale signs are taken down. The Christmas tree is sitting on the curb, turning brown. Welcome to January. Welcome to the hangover. For the last 4 episodes, we talked about how the system manipulates you into feeling like a millionaire for 30 days. But now, we have to talk about what happens when the clock strikes midnight and the carriage turns back into a pumpkin. This is the phase where the illusion shatters. And it shatters in 2 very painful ways. The first way is physical. It is the mountain of stuff you bought but don't actually want. Every year, in the first weeks of January, UPS and FedEx are flooded with packages. It is National Returns Week. You return that sweater that didn't fit. You return the gadget that was broken. You return the toy your kid played with for 5 minutes. You assume that when you send it back to Amazon or Walmart, they take it out of the box, fold it nicely, and put it back on the shelf to sell to someone else. That is a comforting lie. The truth is, for most major retailers, processing a return costs too much money. They have to pay for shipping. They have to pay a human to inspect it. They have to repackage it. It is cheaper for them to throw it away. Investigative reports have tracked returned items with GPS trackers. Do you know where they end up? They don't go back to the warehouse. They go to a landfill, or they are incinerated. In the United States alone, nearly 6 billion pounds of returned goods end up in landfills every year. That is thousands of tons of plastic, electronics, and textiles. Perfectly good products, destroyed because the logistics of capitalism are broken. Or, if they aren't destroyed, they are sold by the truckload to liquidation companies. You can go online right now and buy a mystery pallet of Amazon returns for pennies on the dollar. It is a gamble. It is the garbage of the holiday season, being recycled into a new scam. So, the gifts you went into debt to buy, the gifts you stressed over, the gifts you thought proved your love, they are essentially trash. They are sitting in a pile of garbage in the desert. This is the environmental hangover, but then comes the financial hangover. This one hurts even more. Remember the credit anesthesia we talked about in part 4? In January, the anesthesia wears off. The pain returns. If you signed up for a store credit card to get that 10% discount, the bill is arriving now. If you used buy now, pay later, those 4 easy payments are hitting your bank account all at once. And here is the trap within the trap. Many of those holiday promotions had fine print. They said 0 interest for 12 months if paid in full. That word "if" does a lot of heavy lifting. If you have a balance of $1 left at the end of the promotional period, many contracts have a deferred interest clause. This means they charge you all the interest dating back to the day you bought the item. Suddenly, you don't owe $50 interest. You owe $500 interest. It is a landmine, and millions of people step on it every January. This leads to a phenomenon known as Blue Monday. Psychologists and statisticians have identified the 3rd Monday of January as the most depressing day of the year. Why? The weather is cold and dark. The holiday cheer is gone. You have failed your New Year's resolutions to go to the gym. And most importantly, the credit card bills have arrived. The gap between who you thought you were in December and who you actually are in January is at its widest point. This causes massive anxiety. It causes fights between spouses. Divorce filings often spike in January. The system knows this. And guess what? They have a product for that too. In January, the ads change. They stop selling you toys and diamonds. They start selling you solutions. They sell you debt consolidation loans. They sell you gym memberships. They sell you diet pills. They sell you budget apps. They created the problem in December. And now they are selling you the cure in January. It is a perfect closed loop. They profit when you binge, and they profit when you purge. You are the hamster on the wheel. You run faster and faster, but you never get anywhere. Welcome to the finale of the December Millionaire Trap. We have been on a long journey. We started in the brain with a dopamine heist. We walked through the fake sales of the shopping mall. We felt the guilt of the holiday expectations. We fell into the trap of buy now, pay later. And we woke up with the painful hangover of January debt. If you have watched the previous 5 episodes, you might feel angry. You might feel manipulated. Good. Anger is a useful emotion. Anger wakes you up. For years, you have been a sleepwalker. You have been walking through a world designed by psychologists and data scientists to empty your pockets. But now, you are awake. You see the matrix. So, the question is, how do we get out? How do we survive in a world that is constantly screaming at us to buy? Today, I am going to give you the Project 1% protocol. This is not just about saving a few dollars on coupons. This is about reclaiming your mind. Rule number 1 is called the friction strategy. Remember in part 1, we talked about how companies like Amazon and Apple try to remove all friction. They want buying to be effortless. One click. Face ID. No thinking. To fight back, you must reintroduce friction. You need to make spending money painful again. Step 1. Delete your saved credit cards from your browser and your phone. Make it so that every time you want to buy something, you have to physically stand up, walk to the other room, find your wallet, and type in the 16 digits manually. It sounds stupid, but that extra 60 seconds of effort gives your prefrontal cortex, your logical brain, time to wake up. Step 2. Use cash. When you go to a physical store, leave the credit cards at home. Withdraw the exact amount of money you budgeted for gifts. When the cash is gone, the shopping is over. You cannot spend what you do not have. The physical act of handing over paper money triggers the pain of paying we discussed. It breaks the trance. Rule number 2 is the 72-hour rule. This is a rule based on neuroscience. When you see a shiny new object, your dopamine spikes. You feel an intense urge to possess it. But dopamine is a short-term chemical. It metabolizes quickly. If you can wait just 72 hours, that is 3 days, the chemical storm in your brain will calm down. So, here is the rule. If you see something you want to buy that costs more than $50, you are not allowed to buy it today. Add it to a list, or leave it in the online cart. But do not click checkout. Walk away. come back in 3 days. 90% of the time, when you come back, you will look at that item and feel nothing. The desire will be gone. You will realize you didn't actually want the item. You just wanted the dopamine hit. You just saved yourself hundreds of dollars by doing absolutely nothing. Rule number 3 is the digital detox. You are fighting an algorithm that knows you better than you know yourself. You need to blind it. Go to your email inbox, search for unsubscribe. Unsubscribe from every single retailer newsletter. Old Navy, Best Buy, Target. They are not sending you news. They are sending you triggers. They are fishing for your attention. Cut the line. Then go to your social media, unfollow the influencers whose entire job is to make you feel inadequate. If watching someone unbox a luxury handbag makes you feel poor, stop watching it. Curate a feed that inspires you to create, to learn, or to build. Not a feed that inspires you to consume. Rule number 4 is the philosophy of enough. This is the hardest one, but it is the most important. We live in a culture that tells us more is better. More toys, more clothes, more square footage. But look around your house right now. Look at the closets bursting with clothes you don't wear. Look at the garage full of junk. Does it make you feel free? Or does it make you feel heavy? There is a saying, the things you own end up owning you. You have to clean them. You have to store them. You have to insure them. You have to worry about them breaking. Every item you buy is a contract. You are trading your life energy, the hours you worked, for a piece of plastic. Minimalism isn't about living in an empty room with one chair. Minimalism is about intentionality. It is about asking, does this add value to my life? Or is it just clutter? When you stop buying things to impress other people, you unlock a massive amount of resources. You have money to invest. You have money to travel. You have money to buy your time back. That is real wealth. Wealth is not a closet full of Gucci. Wealth is the ability to wake up in the morning and do whatever you want. And finally, rule number 5, redefine the holiday. The corporations have stolen Christmas. They turned a season of light and connection into a season of stress and debt. Take it back. Have a conversation with your family. Be brave. Say to them, this year, let's do something different. Instead of spending $500 on gifts we will forget in a month, let's spend that money on an experience together. Let's cook a massive meal. Let's go to a cabin. Let's play games. Or set a limit. We are only doing handmade gifts this year. You might be surprised. Your family is probably just as stressed as you are. They are waiting for someone to give them permission to stop the madness. Be the leader. Be the one who breaks the cycle. The December Millionaire Trap is powerful. It is shiny. It is seductive. But it is a cage. and you hold the key. The key is simple. Stop looking for happiness in the checkout aisle. It is not there. It never was. Look for happiness in freedom. Look for happiness in connection. Look for happiness and peace of mind. Thank you for watching this series. We hope we have saved you some money. But more importantly, we hope we have saved you from the regret. If you found value in this, please share it. Send it to a friend who is drowning in debt. Send it to a family member who needs a wake-up call. We are Project 1%. We don't tell you what to buy. We teach you how to think. Stay safe, stay solvent, and happy holidays.